Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is Dark Macek with Brutally Delicious, coming at you with a review of Kissin Dynamite's brand new album, Back with a Bang. So I figured, like half of the bands that I review are from Germany, but why don't I try something German that's a little different this week? So instead of my usual shtick of symphonic/power metal, we're going to go with some stadium rock, clear 80s influence, badass shit. I'd heard the name Kissin Dynamite many times, but sadly I had never given them a go for no great reason at all. I think I saw their name on like the Monsters of Rock cruise lineup, so I had an idea that it would be 80s influence and appealing to that crowd, but boy was I unprepared for how much ass this was going to kick. A lot of people know how much shit I give to a lot of classic rock throwback bands, but this band is not really that much of a throwback. I think there's just kind of a vibe they're capturing. From what I understand, because I was not alive in the 80s, it was a pretty grim decade in a lot of ways. You know, the Cold War was pretty rough, and it started out in economic recession. So I think a lot of the music created during that era, like Bon Jovi and Madonna, was an escape. In that respect, it's really funny to look back on it and think of it as this giant party. Maybe it really was, and people just made up the escape thing because they want to sound smarter than everyone else. I've heard of weirder shit. But my point stands, or their point stands, because I wasn't around for it, that this was created to help people get through a time. Somehow contrast this with the 90s when there was massive economic prosperity, relative world peace, and the internet came out and everything was grand for a bit, and somehow the reigning music is like Nirvana and Alice in Chains. What the fuck? Anyways, I digress. This band sounds like a real return to that celebration, a reminder that life is fun and beautiful and worth living. The first two words that came to mind were kick ass. It was a whole lot of fun. I'm reminded of a bunch of similar bands that thankfully carried this torch, the biggest one being Reckless Love from Finland. I think they are criminally underrated. But also Pretty Maids, Kickin' Valentina, Hardcore Superstar, you know, all the modern bands that make it onto Monsters of Rock. I cannot stress this enough. The band does not really sound like Dokken or Motley Crue, and it's okay. I got some Bon Jovi influence for sure. The vocals actually remind me a bit more of Tobias Sammet of Ed Guy. So while it's a clear influence, it's not a ripoff, and that's awesome. Lastly, the production is so good. The guitars are very full. It does not sound very 80s. Dokken was total mid-range. This has a lot of bass and treble. It's not terribly scooped. It just sounds so much bigger. All right, time to talk about some songs. Opening title track. Lots of fun, big energetic club vibes. I can 100% see the singer jumping around the stage, twirling the mic stand, and having his hair pushed back by fans, either the mechanical kind or the human kind. This is absolutely the kind of thing that some 13-year-old is going to hear and start playing guitar because of it. Raise Your Glass. This is a really good introspective song, and that like you're looking back and, you know, being thankful for all you've been given and how good the music scene is, at least I think. It's like This House Is Not For Sale by Bon Jovi, but with a lot more testosterone. I think this could be in a Pixar movie. Queen of the Night. Here's a heavier one. It's down-tuned while still sounding like the same band. It's really cool how they go from that, you know, 80s club vibe to something that's much heavier like this. Speaking of the bands I was saying they sound like, I'm reminded of Serpentine by Pretty Maids, which for them is also a heavy one. The Best Is Yet To Come. This is more or less exactly what you'd expect from the title. It's anthemic to the max. Makes you feel like, you know, life is good, but it'll be even better one day. Odd comparison, but I'm reminded of Where Eagles Dare from Paul Stanley's 2006 solo album. It might not be that odd because that was co-written with Desmond Child, who co-wrote a lot of Bon Jovi's hits, who was a clear influence on this band. But I'll bet they weren't thinking of 2006 Paul Stanley. Learn to Fly. Here's another really inspiring one. Back to the movie theme, I think this could be in some montage about a 16-year-old city boy who had never fit in, discovering a new music scene that accepts him and helps him blossom. Lastly, When the Lights Go Out. This is the first time on the album I was reminded of Steel Panther, who are probably on the forefront of the quote-unquote 80s revival, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The riffing on this song is kind of like some of Steel Panther's Drop D songs, like Glory Hole or 17 Girls in a Row or Pussy Ain't Free, or a not Drop D one called Wrong Side of the Tracks. Okay, so definitely having like retroactive FOMO for not having listened to Kissin Dynamite earlier. When I was 13 years old and the reigning bands were like Fall Out Boy and or Avenged Sevenfold, I was always clamoring for a return to the 80s metal style. It's this kind of band that I wish existed back then. I've always been a 70,000 tons of metal acolyte. I have never in my life been on Mork, but this band makes me want to try to get a ticket next year. I don't even think they're on, but if this is the vibe that the whole cruise has, fuck, I'm in. Thanks for this, dudes. Rock on.